Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Cold Hard Truth NFL podcast. I'm your host, Anish Gupta.
And I'm Srikar Rajendran.
We're back with a different style episode because if you hadn't checked out the one with Jack and I, please go check that out. We literally broke down every single narrative or every single thing you could have possibly thought of for week 7. We talked about it in that hour-long episode. I know it wasn't supposed to go that long, but Jamaica came back for the first time in a long time, so we had to catch up with him. So go check that out if you haven't. But yes, this episode is going to be a little bit different in the sense that we're going to be previewing a lot more than we're going to be recapping. So that's kind of the basis of this episode. In the meantime, we'll just also kind of mention that both of us, again, had bad football weekends, especially mine being with another 3-point or less loss. But, it's okay. We've had our losses. Now let's talk about something that will help you win your match against your hair down there. This episode is brought to you by Manscaped, as all of ours are. And as I try and do another creative implementation of how I bring this up, Manscaped is the best below the waist grooming. Manscaped launched their 4th generation trimmer. Jack also tried it with us last year, and we tried it again this year. Crazy experience. It's next level craftsmanship, details, all great. They engineered the ultimate body and groin trimmer by focusing on intelligent functionality and an incredibly comfortable grooming experience. Features a cutting-edge ceramic blade, not to forget wireless charging, so you don't have to worry about those deflations. Again, other amazing products from Manscaped, such as the Weed Whacker nose and ear hair trimmer, the Crop Preserver ball deodorant, and some really comfy clothing like the t-shirt and the boxers. Join over 2 million men worldwide who use Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. Srikar, what is the code? Jack remembered it, by the way.
Oh, that's great. CHT20.
CHT20. I don't know how Jack almost forgot it, but yeah, CHT20 at manscaped.com, 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped, and go grab yourself that Lawnmower 4.0 now. Moving on. First kind of topic of today. Again, it's not going to be a recap. Just going to go right into it. Obviously, we'll have to touch on things that have happened in order to preview stuff, but obviously on Thursday, the Cardinals picked up a much-needed win against the New Orleans Saints, but came at a kind of cost in the way that, we saw Kyler and Kliff kind of getting at it, more so Kyler being just frustrated and angry with, I guess, maybe how it was going down. I know Srikar kind of put it on the dock. Should we be worried about the Cardinals as well as the tandem of Kingsbury and Murray moving forward? Because, the offense looked pretty good towards the second half of this the game with D-Hop back. So, Srikar, I'll pass it on to you. What do you think?
Yeah, so I'm not gonna try and lip sync it because, one, I'm not good at lip syncing, and two, I can't really say those. He definitely said a bad word that I can't say in a family-friendly podcast. But let's be kind of frank about this. Players and coaches argue all the time, right? Like, sometimes it becomes a story, sometimes it's just passed over and we forget about it. But when it's Kliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray, think about it, both guys signed extensions this offseason. I think it's very, very noticeable, and something that really stood out to me. I actually don't think it was just like a frustration sort of thing that came from like another bad night. I think it was like from somewhere else. Like I can't really tell, obviously, but I kind of got that sort of feeling. But that's a red flag for me. But Cardinals are 3-4. They're still in the playoff race. It's just not. I don't think it's difficult to say this tandem and this partnership could be on the downswing, and I've personally believed that for a while now. I'm not high on Kliff Kingsbury. We've seen what Kyler Murray's done this year prior to that game. I just don't think that these two are going to be the guys that lead Arizona in the future. I just don't think so. Kliff before Kyler, because I believe in Kyler's talent a little bit more than Kliff's coaching. But yeah, I'm not that high on the Cardinals to begin with. I think this kind of all but affirmed to me that this partnership is in a very, very weird spot.
So there's a guy on TikTok that I became pretty close with. His name is Pick and Spreads. He's a big Cardinals fan. So love to kind of keep in tabs on how the Cards are doing, and we've gone back and forth on Kliff Kingsbury. I'm more of a Kliff defender. I have been in the past, and I think it's pretty clear. Those who have loyally watched the show, they know that yes, I've come to the defense of Kliff. He's such a weird coach in the sense that he's the only one that I can picture that got an NFL coaching job, not really doing much at his previous stint, like in college. Right? I mean, they were good. You know, they had
And
their
an
first half of the
extension
year.
at that.
Yeah. So I mean, well, I think the extension was due to his NFL. Like they got better every year, right? They made the playoffs. They finally pushed through, and I think they kind of said, okay, you know what? Let's give him 4 more years. I will say this about, and yeah, and Kingsbury, the main reason why he got the coaching job was he was the Patrick Mahomes QB whisperer, right? So, I think this tandem is in a flux. I also do think the Cardinals looked way better than and more poised on offense than they had in any point in the season. I think that's large part due to having a true X and D Hop. So, you know, a lot of fans are suspecting a late season push from Arizona. I am one of those people. I think they can, but you can't go into these kind of games having these arguments between the head coach and Kyler, right? Like it's just not your star quarterback, just not supposed to work. It's really hard for me to see them go off Kingsbury right after they give him an extension. It's really hard. Like as a front office and, you know, kind of being surrounded by it now too, you obviously want to admit your mistakes earlier than later, but it's hard to do that when you just gave someone the money, right? Like that's too early. But the thing is, the Cardinals have been known to do that, right? Josh Rosen, they spent a first round pick, the 10th overall pick on a quarterback and got rid of him within a year. So the Cardinals have been known to do it. Will they? Let's see. But I'm glad I kind of thought of that analogy kind of on the fly. But yeah, so that's why I think it could happen. But let's put a futuristic tense on this topic, right? Where does this lead them into the next few games? Because let's quickly pull up their schedule, right? Because they're sitting here at 3-4, and with, you know, some not necessarily bad losses, but they've looked really disappointing in the ones that they've had. Obviously, the Chiefs won to start off, but yeah. So I pulled it up. I'm just gonna throw out their next 7 games, okay? Or let's throw out their next 6. It's at Minnesota, which I think is going to be really hard. Seattle at home, at LA, the Niners at home, the Chargers at home, and the Patriots at home. Right, so they got that 3 games homestand at the end.
You got to buy before New England too.
Right. So where do you think this team? I mean, because, you know, at 3-4, you're sitting in an okay spot, especially with you being 1 game back of the NFC West lead. The only problem is they're, I believe, 0-2 in their division. So, right, you've got to pick up some big wins here.
I gotta tell you, this next like 4 game stretch is really tough. At Minnesota, you said it. That in their building, that's very tough. You're in Seattle, in Arizona. Maybe you could win that, but with the way the Seattle's playing, I'm really starting to buy into it. Like
there it is.
I mean, hey, we talked about Shane Waldron should be a head coach. I mean, the way his play designs are so good, and what he's done with Geno is obviously incredible. At LA, it's winnable. Would I pick them? I don't. It kind of depends how the Rams come out of the bye, but as of right now, I'd say no. Versus the Niners, you know my thoughts on that. It's in Mexico City, so who knows, on a neutral field, maybe. It's a lot of maybes. And those maybes could easily be no's for me. But then you get into the Chargers. You know my thoughts on the Chargers. They've not impressed me at all. I think that's a game that they can win, especially in Arizona. Then you go into your bye, come out and face New England. I think you can win that. That's in Arizona as well. So maybe the push doesn't come now, but maybe the push comes after that bye, because then you go into a slate where you're in Denver. You got the Bucs at home, the Falcons, and the Niners. They could make a push there.
So what I'm hearing is that there's hope, right? That's all I'm hearing here, right? And what I'm hearing is there's hope, but there's also no guarantees. And what it's going to come down to is, are Kyler and Kliff going to get over this, right? Because media can easily drive locker rooms apart. It's what they try and do. They stir up these stupid narratives that really get to a locker room. I mean, just being part of it, even in Cal with our coaches and all that, you hear it. Like it's just something that's present. So, can they overcome that? And I think that's going to be a really big factor into how this season plays out for Arizona. I and it's, I hate being that guy that says, I think it could happen, it's possible. I can't make a definitive statement right now, like just because of how weak the NFC is. Jack and I kind of alluded to it, but the Cardinals have the talent. Like, this is a team that showed it last year with 7 straight wins to begin the year. This is a team that has shown it time and time again. They've had so many ups, but they've also had so many downs. And my one problem with this team, and that's what's continued to ride them, and as a Browns fan, I know this all too well, it's the noise. You've gotta get out of this noise. Like, you don't want the reason why teams like Seattle, New York, right, they're doing so well is because they've got nothing to lose. No one is like picking on them for the most random stuff, right? The Cardinals are getting picked on for everything. I mean, Kyler playing COD, Kyler arguing with his coach, the Kyler's contract, unfollowing them on Instagram, like all these like stupid stuff that doesn't even need to be found in the first place, right? D-Hop's suspension, like these are all things that, I feel like just are putting fuel to the fire. And I think these next 8 or 6 to 8 weeks of Srikar that is going to be really time telling.
I could say the same thing as you and say it's not definitive, but in some ways, I just feel like it's a cop out. Like, you guys know what you came here for. You came here for the cold hard truth. So I'll give you a take. I'm gonna say the push comes too late. I'm gonna say they start streaking, but at the wrong time, and it's when things are starting to settle in the NFC race. So yes, I do think they're gonna be better. And look, when Kliff and Kyler weren't yelling, the Cardinals looked like a respectable team. Like, they look pretty good. So I think a push will happen. A streak could happen. I think it will, but just too late to actually get them to the playoffs.
I will back you up and say, I don't think they're winning the division. And I think that's the problem. So I think they're going to be 3 wildcard teams that are just better than them.
Yeah.
Maybe not better in terms of play, but they're going to have better records. I think the noise gets to them. You're right. And I think at this point, I'm pretty confident in saying I would take Seattle over them.
Yeah.
And obviously the Rams and Niners always have something to the table. They could be sitting last in the NFC West.
It's wide open. It's a wide open division, but at the same time, it's a tough division too.
Right.
So it's like, yeah.
Yeah, and 0-2 in the division does not,
it doesn't bode well.
Start. Right, exactly. Well, moving on from the Cardinals, again, we're kind of hitting you guys with teams that people haven't really talked about. Let's talk about the Panthers a little bit. Not really more so of their win versus Tampa. I think we can all agree in some ways it's a little fluky, but the defense played great, and I think that's always what I alluded to with this team, and the reason why I was kind of high on them coming into the year. Their defense, their defense has always been good for the last 3 years. It's been young guys kind of coming together. Now some of them are really coming into their own, and one of the guys I had as a sleeper for Depoy was Brian Burns. I don't think he's going to win it, but I think he should always be, in everyone's radar as one of the best edge rushers in football. And recently came out that the Panthers rejected an offer of 2 firsts for Brian Burns. Now, Srikar thinks it's a whole lot of bull jive. I think there's some truth to it, and I think that Brian Burns is not worth 2 firsts. That is how high I am on that man. I think he is so important. I think he's so important to that defense. I think he is what makes them go. And I think he's the reason why guys like Hassan Reddick got more than 10 sacks. And I don't think they should trade him. I think that's one piece you keep. I think DJ Moore is a guy that you should trade, especially after coming off that week. If he builds some type of rapport with PJ Walker, I know the deadline's coming up quick, but yeah, I think DJ's got to go. I think Brian Burns has to stay.
So I'll address if this is a true report, I do not understand how you decline 2 firsts for Brian Burns. I like Brian Burns too. He's on a rookie contract. He's also a one-time Pro Bowler who's never had double-digit sacks in a season. 2 firsts. 2 first-round picks.
I keep him. I'm that high on him.
Okay, I agree that I would keep him, but when the offer's that... Anyways, I don't even think it's true, though. I think this is just posturing. They're trying to make some GM believe that their only chance is to somehow top 2 firsts, which if you're a GM, like, no, you're not doing that. Nobody's going to do that.
I agree. You're not throwing out more than 2 firsts.
It's got to be less than 2 firsts, or else it's a fleecing of the highest proportions. All right, like, and if you're the Panthers, you only trade Perns unless you get like that good of a package, right? You got a great package for McCaffrey, and I think they were asking for multiple firsts at the time. So who knows? Maybe you can get a good package out of that, but I think McCaffrey was also easier to ship out than Burns because Burns is younger, he's cheaper, he plays a premium position. So, I mean, we're still in the middle of this Carolina fire sale. We could see, more guys go. Maybe they're done with the McCaffrey trade. Who knows? But they're not getting 2 firsts for Brian Burns, and if they do, that's ridiculous.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it obviously depends on what you do with the firsts, but I mean, I think Brian Burns is a better player at this point than Jamal Adams was when he got shipped off. So,
but it's also safety versus an edge rusher.
Right, and I think edge rusher is more important.
Yeah, but 2 firsts?
I don't know. I'm very high on him. I always have. So
even Jamal Adams, I thought the price was too high.
Yeah, agreed. So I don't think they trade him. That was one of our questions that we wanted to answer. I don't think they trade him. I think DJ Moore is someone that should be on the block.
Agree with you.
Just because, like, I think Terrence Marshall Jr. is he's finally getting some reps and he's actually playing well. DJ Moore obviously had a good rapport with PJ Walker, so let's kind of move on to this is what's going to be the title of the episode, by the way. And it's
he wanted this like he asked me on the side to put this.
Yeah, so this is going to be very, very hard for me to talk about, and I'll let Srikar start off so I don't have to.
Sure.
Apparently, the Panthers want to go forward with PJ Walker if number 6 Baker Mayfield comes back healthy. So it's time to finally throw out the question. And I have some friends from middle school who are going to die laughing at this because we talked about it before the season started. Is Baker Mayfield officially the B word, a bust? Srikar, you can start off.
My answer is yeah. I do think he's a bust. Let's go back to draft position for a second. So he's drafted number 1, stellar rookie season, right? Awesome. You think he's the guy. And then 2019 happens, 2020 happens. And I'll give him credit. You lead the Browns to the divisional. That's great. It's too much inconsistency. That's my problem. Too much inconsistency for a number 1 pick. And obviously we've seen how everything has just tumbled down in Carolina. And that was perceived as his final chance to shed the bust label. And since he hasn't done that, I think it's fair to say Baker Mayfield's officially a bust for being the number 1 overall pick in 2018.
Okay. Let's kind of get into this. Baker Mayfield is the only Browns quarterback that has done anything. He is the only quarterback for a team that I have loved and hated for so long that, did the impossible, right? Won a playoff game, ended an 18-year drought. So it's really hard for me to go objectively and speak on this, but let me ask you this first. Okay. Do you consider Marcus Mariota to be a bust?
Yeah.
Okay. I do too, and for that reason, I am going to call him a bust. This is the first time I've ever said that, and the reason why is I'll say this with 2 caveats. One, I think he's a bust for being the number 1 overall pick. When you in the NFL take a player number 1 overall, they are supposed to be franchise altering. They are supposed to be lasting there for a lifetime. And the problem is that Baker for 4 years did, right? This franchise went from being consistently under 500, consistently 4 wins, 5 wins. What did Baker do? He got him to 7 wins his rookie year in 13 starts. 6, which fine, had a rough year, but 11 in his 3rd year, right? So that's franchise altering in a way, right? You go from being literally the bottom of the league to at least average or better. So in a way, you can say he's not in that regard, but number 1 overall picks are not supposed to have 4-year careers. They're supposed to have 10-year careers, 12-year careers, 15. And I don't know where it goes from here, but yeah. If I'm willing to bet that the latter part of his career is not looking too good right now. And for that reason, For that reason, I will say he is a bust for a number 1 overall pick, but I will not say, in comparison to the ones we've seen over the course of the decade, I'm not going to say it. I think he's been one of the better ones just because of what he did for the Browns franchise.
Sure.
So
One of the better busts is a little weird, but yeah, sure.
yeah, and I mean, I guess you can also see how the Browns are kind of looking at that. Do you think a healthy Baker? I still go back to this. I really think it was the labrum. Like I think that's the reason it turned the table for him. Like he's like if okay, coming into before the labrum, he was leading the league in completion percentage. He had a really good battle with Patrick Mahomes, right? The game, the week 1 game, right? We all remember that one. It was a pretty big shootout. We were up 12. Mahomes does his thing, but Baker was in that game too, right? Both of them had really good games. He had like an 82% completion percentage before his injury. I think it was the labrum that really cost him, right? Because then that's when all the narratives came. He can't play, right? People started looking more towards a second-year film rather than his first and third. Then obviously the Browns jumped ship way too early, in my opinion. I think if they had ran back, we'd be seeing the Browns with a lot better record than 2-5, in my opinion.
It's so hard to answer that. It's so hard to answer any question with injuries. Like when you ask me, if Carson Wentz would lead those 2017 Eagles to a Super Bowl if he never got hurt.
Why we gotta bring up?
There's so many factors that just goes into. Well, for Carson Wentz, it was less games, but for Baker, you're talking about an entire career, like the rest of your career. So I think it's really hard to answer that. So I don't think I will. Just
it's
out
hard,
of respect,
right?
out of respect for Baker, I just won't. I just won't answer that, but I guess he'd play better because a labrum's always.
I think
tough
he would,
to come
but
back
like
from, but
I just don't get how like it can't be like.
But also
the drop off in Carolina was really concerning. Like,
and he just couldn't see the field in Carolina. That's something that a torn labrum's not going to fix. So it's like
that was always the concern. So, I mean, I think the concerns just either the concerns anyway prior to the draft were heightened in Carolina. So, I really hope we get to see him one last time without Matt Rule. Do you think a team will take a chance on him next year? Because the Panthers don't have to pick up anything with him.
As a backup, yeah. Not as a starter. It kind of depends on what happens in training camp with injuries and all that, but could he get a starting job? Potentially. So I wouldn't bet on it, though.
I'm gonna throw 2 scenarios out. And, we are the cold hard truths. So we'll give you big takes on this. I'm going to throw 2 at you. Okay. The Giants, Daniel Jones. Let's say they lead him to the playoffs. Daniel Jones does great, right? Giants don't want to extend him. And they don't even franchise tag him. They let him walk. Okay. All right. Just throwing it out. Okay. The Seahawks. Or you know what? I'll say this. Yeah. So the Giants, let's say they let Daniel Jones walk. And the Seahawks, with Geno Smith, let's say he plays well throughout. They somehow make the playoffs. He's not under contract. Someone else offers him an extension. If you're the Seahawks or the Giants, do you take a chance on him, on Baker?
I would re-sign Geno and I'd re-sign Daniel before that.
Even for the contracts that it would be? Because Daniel's franchise tag would be 43.
I get that, but I'm not saying on the tag. I'd say
you'd extend him.
I'd extend Daniel. If he leads you to the playoffs, let's assume he wins a game in the playoffs too.
Oh, okay.
If he doesn't win you a game in the playoffs, I think you can cut bait. But if he wins you a game in the playoffs, I don't think you have a choice.
Okay.
With the Seahawks, I have been I already said it. I mean, I'm buying into the Hawks with every passing day. I'd build around Geno. But I do like Baker as a backup to Geno.
Okay.
I do as a year 9 QB. I think he is just a late bloomer. But I like Baker as a backup in both those scenarios. That's the thing. I could see the Giants a little bit more.
All right, and then one more. Tampa.
Well,
Brady retires.
It also depends when those teams pick in the draft. But
okay, but Tampa, Brady retires.
Again, depends on pick, but actually that makes the most sense out of those 3. I would say Tampa makes the most sense. That's your bridge QB right there.
Okay. Well, I guess we got our answer on Baker. That was a hard one. That was a hard one to answer. Do you think? I mean, yeah. Do you think the Panthers have got anything to look forward to this season? I mean, do you think it was more of a fluke, the win?
It was that rally around the interim head coach game for sure. I think it's a fluke.
All right, let's move on to a team that I am very shocked that people are not talking about this team. The Titans, 4 straight wins. Why is nobody talking about that? Like, nobody is talking about that. And granted, they got destroyed by the Bills, but they only lost because they missed a kick against the Giants. So we could sit up here and say they're technically 5-1 in a way. Are the Titans for real? And how far do you think this team will go, Shriek?
It's crazy because I thought the Titans were cooked after that Bills loss. I mean, they were 0-2. It just everything seemed to be stacking up against them. But listen, and Taylor Lewan, he's out for the year. Tennessee was already without A.J. Brown to begin with. I got to give so much credit to Mike Vrabel. That is one hell of a head coach. Now they're 4-2. You have the season sweep of the Colts. I think they're going to win the division. Will they go far in the playoffs? I'll say this. They're for real in the sense they will win the division, but they are limited. I don't think they would go very far in the playoffs. I will say that. And you already know who I'm going to put this on, but I'm not going to mention it.
Who are we going to put it on?
I won't mention it.
Okay, good, because
it's a lackluster group of weapons, an average quarterback. Coaching alone will not get it done in the playoffs. All right, they're limited.
Let me add it. All right, okay. The Titans, they continue to just win these games that they, win these close games, win the ones that matter, play good situational football. And you're right. It's all thanks to Mike Vrabel. This dude is a hell of a coach, man. And actually, they were the 1 seed with Taylor Lewan being in and out of the lineup last year, too. So it's no surprise to them. I know there's this clip going around of him and Ben Jones after he played through the injury. The media is going to eat that up. But I'm going to focus a little bit more on just, I guess, the Titans. Like, the Titans defense has been great, right? Like, I think people aren't really realizing how good they've played recently. And a lot of that is just because in their 4-game winning streak, it's been the Raiders who are 2-4, the Colts who we don't like, the Commanders who we don't really like, and then a Colts again. So I can't believe I'm saying this. All right. Thing that's going to limit them is their offense. And what's concerning to me is Ryan Tannehill has not thrown for over 150 yards in the last 3 games. And that is not Tannehill's fault. It's the lack of weapons. Treylon Burks is on IR. Robert Woods is not a receiver 1. Okay. The Titans and the Giants are in this very similar influx where it's like you've got great running backs, right? You've got a really good power scheme. Where is the outside weapons? Where are they? Right? Like they're so similar, right? I mean, Derrick Henry is going to do, so much for your team. And you're right. Come January, they're just going to be teams that are better at football than the Tennessee Titans. That's just what it's going to come down to. They're just not as talented. Mm-hmm. And the crazy thing is, hard work can be talent, but in January it doesn't necessarily.
Yeah, it's not balanced.
It's sometimes it does not get you that far. So, yeah, that's kind of my take on the Titans in terms of their 4-game winnings. All right, moving on. It's your favorite segment. It's our favorite segment, but it's going to be with a little twist. Weekly picks. Srikar, you want to quickly recap it before we get into it, though?
Yeah, I got to pull it up, the exact records, but we have Jack still in first with 69 wins, and then Fans in second, 67, Anish in third, 65, me last, 62. So we got some ground to make up.
Yes. It's so funny that the 2 guys recording are the ones that are last. Okay. Well, we're going to do it a little different. First of all, we're going to try this. We're going to preview some of the games that we really want to focus on, and then maybe we can get into all of them. But let's start off with ones that we want to talk about. Let's start off with the Patriots and the Jets. Jack and I kind of talked about it earlier, obviously with him being the Jets fan and all. Pats are kind of in this funk, right? Who do they start? Bailey Zappi, Mac Jones, number 10, number 4. Where does it go? So Shriek, why don't you start off? How do you think this game kind of plays out? What does it come down to?
I'm actually going to take New England. I'm going to take the Pats. And here's my thing. We can talk about the Pats QB situation all we want. Zach Wilson has been horrible under pressure. Like, horrible. And when you got Bill Belichick, who knows how to scheme pressure going up against Zach Wilson, like, that's a very tough matchup in itself. Secondly, we've seen the Pats' record against the Jets in the past. And I honestly think it would have been better if the Pats had beat the Bears going into this game, because maybe the Jets could catch them sleepwalking a bit. But now, Bill's going to be furious, right? Like, they're going to play with a little bit of fire. I'm going to go with the Pats here. It's a little interesting, though, because obviously Elijah Vera Tucker and Breece Hall are both out. People haven't been talking about AVT. That's a big loss. And Breece Hall, we both know he's excellent. He was on track to be near the top of the Offensive Rookie of the Year races around, the nation. And you lose both. You pick up James Robinson, which I actually think is a great deal for New York because Robinson can play. It's ETN's backfield in Jacksonville, but I'm not going to discredit James Robinson. I still think as a rental running back, that's about as good as you can get. So I really like that move for a conditional sixth. So we'll see him. But yeah, I got to go with the Pats just based off desperation, based off the fact that they can get pressure on Zach Wilson, which he falls in, and the injuries I think will be a little bit too much to bear. So I think the Pats get the win here.
All right, I'm going to start off by saying Jack and I talked about this with the Jets, AVT and Breece being out. We did a whole thing in our recap. But one thing we mainly talked about was how that losing Breece is the loss of a big play. James Robinson isn't going to get you those 62-yard touchdowns off a screen, right? Like, he's just not going to get you those big, home run hit plays that Breece delivered. And that's the problem with the Jets offense is it's not consistent. And look, Zach Wilson, you're right, has been the worst quarterback under pressure according to literally every metric out there. But when he's not under pressure, he's looked pretty good. So I said this in his first game back, he panics a little too much in the pocket. But truth of the matter is he's 3-0 as a starter. So say what you want, take that with what you will. Here's what's going to happen, right? If the Jets win this game, now the narrative's flip. I said this literally last week, right? If they get 2 on the Bills and the Pats, they are a playoff team to me. And here's what it comes down to, right? Is it going to be the same old? The Pats beat the Jets every year, they sweep them, or are we going to see something different? And that's where we need to start taking the Jets seriously. I don't think it happens. Unfortunately, I think the Pats take this one. And this is the one the Jets need to win. And I think this is the one if they don't win this one, I think they get swept. Obviously, if they win this one, then we got to, like I said, then it's really starting to get a little bit scary because this is, I think, a little bit of a test, right? This is kind of like your final question on your exam, right? Like, now I think we got to start taking them seriously at 6-2, right? With a win over the Pats, a team that has beaten them for so long, right? It's kind of like the Browns, right? Their final test to make it into the playoffs was the Steelers, team that they just could not beat. So, similar thing here. I don't think it happens in the sense that I think just Bill Belichick knows what he's doing against that Jets offense. And I think the Jets defense can only play so well, but I think it's going to be a low scoring game. I think the Pats get it done. And now that we've said that, it's going to be high scoring. Great.
It's all fun and games until Jack picks the Jets.
Yeah. If Jack picks the Jets, I'm sorry, I'm probably switching.
I probably would switch too.
Yeah, I think it's, we're going to see probably maybe a 24-20 type of game. Give me the Pats, though. This one's a hard one, but yeah, give me the Pats.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on. This one, you know what? I'll save this one for last. We'll go Giants Seahawks. We kind of talked about the two a little bit, in a different way though. But yeah, Giants again are 6-1. I feel like we're talking about them every week ever since they beat the Packers. And the Seahawks, 4-3 again, overachieving, continuing to do it each week, even surpassing my expectations. I don't think anyone saw this really coming. But again, they play like the Jets in the sense that they play with this unfathomable energy, right? Like, it's like they play with nothing to lose. But so have the Giants in a way, right? And I think like now you're seeing both of these teams really emerge as, like, how do I say this? Like, young guns in the NFC that are trying to take down the top guys, which they kind of have, right? Like, the Giants have really good wins under their belt. Seahawks, in a way, right? Like, they've kind of won consistently. So, where does it end, Shriek? Or do you want me to go first on this one?
I'll let you go first.
Okay. Well, first I need to pull up who's at home because I actually don't know that.
The Hawks.
The Hawks are at home?
Yep.
Oh, man. That's a lot tougher than I thought. Okay. One thing Jack and I also talked about was the 12th man that the Seahawks have. One thing we didn't talk about is the Seahawks won't have DK Metcalf. So with that, if the Giants were to beat the Seahawks halfway through the season, they would be 7-1. And I'm going to go. Oh man, this one's hard, man. Okay. I didn't. Yeah, I thought it was gonna be at New York. Then I was gonna be like, all right, let's go with the Giants. Being at Seattle makes it a lot tougher. Um, you know what? Give me give me the Seahawks here. I think this is where the Giants kind of streak kind of comes to an end. That doesn't mean they're bad, but give me the Seahawks at home. They did have a loss to Atlanta that I didn't like, but I think they're finding their groove, right? Which is why they've kind of looked so good in the last couple weeks. So yeah, give me the Giants. Or sorry, the Seahawks.
The Giants lost last week. I picked against them.
They
On
won
by
last
a yard. By a yard, they won.
Yeah.
Here's my thing. This game is so even to me that this is gonna come down to travel. Jacksonville to Seattle is a very, very, very long trip. And I give Seattle the advantage there. So in this case, I'm also going to go with the Hawks. But this is one that could easily fluctuate. But for now, I'm gonna stick with my gut.
Yeah, something's telling me the
The
Hawks.
travel miles are crazy. Like
It's not even that. I think it's just like the the Giants have been playing on the very thin lines, right? Very thin edges.
It's gonna
And
snap. Yeah,
I've always said that, right? Remember, the ice is gonna break at some point. I've said
happened last week too.
Yeah, we use this all the time. So, and the Seahawks in their wins have looked really impressive, right? And their three losses were in a really high scoring shootout to the Saints, Atlanta where they just kind of flat out blew it at the end of that game, and the Niners where they looked really bad. But this one's at home, and if the Giants go on the road and beat Seattle, I don't know. I don't know when it's time to I just can't.
This has to be the one that they lose.
I just can't picture them 7-1. I mean, like, dude, what? I had them 7 wins the whole year. So, and some people definitely had them less than that. Like, I don't even know what to even say after that. But yeah, give me Seattle. If they lose, hey, call me crazy. But yeah.
All right, final game. Well, of
You
the
know what it
previews.
is. You know what it is.
Can I? All right, I'll start. It's the Niners and the Rams. You know we love talking about the Niners and the Rams.
It never bodes well for me in the regular season.
And it always bodes well for me in the regular season. The Rams are coming off their bye. You may be wondering how they're going to do. I think they'll look a little bit better. I trust Sean McVay to have his team prepared over the bye, right? But take a nice long look at the Rams offensive line and take a nice long look at the Niners D line. Just do that for me real quick. Just do it. Go and look at it. And to be fair, the Niners D line, I mean, there wasn't much pass rush in the last game. I do think it was sort of a fluke. I think they'll get back on track. I'm going with the Niners.
8 straight weeks.
8 straight. You take a look at that O-line. You take a look at the Niners D-line. 8 straight. Let's do it. And it's going to be a Niner home game. We're in SoFi, so.
God, I hate talking about this matchup because every time
he picks the Rams every time.
Every single time I say, you know what? Sean McVay is a better coach. And yes, when it mattered, he won it. But we don't do picks in the playoffs, so it doesn't help me. I can't believe I'm saying this. This is going to be the first time I think in like 3 years, maybe even more. I think this is literally the first time since the 2019 that I'm doing this. Yeah, I'm picking SF.
Now we're gonna lose.
Yeah, I'm picking SF.
This is the one time, guys. This is the one time we're gonna lose.
Yeah, you guys don't realize. Literally, since the Niners went 13-3, that was our first year doing this thing. I have picked the Rams against the Niners every single week, and I have been wrong every single time. What is that now? 2020, 2021. So 4 straight times. No, 5, including this was 5 straight times. I'm not doing it again. And it's going to be so ironic when the Rams win and I'm wrong. But yeah, give me SF. I can't, man. I can't. Even off a bye, I can't.
All right, let's get into the rest of the games. Let's start with Thursday Night Football, Ravens at Bucks. Look, the Ravens have trouble holding on to leads. The Browns bailed them out last week. It's all good. But against the Bucks, you know, if you score 7, you know, that'll be enough. I'll take the Ravens.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, again, Jack and I talked about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers yesterday and how disappointing they are. Two straight losses in a bad way, right? Or actually, yeah, so two straight. They haven't looked good in a particular game, have they? I mean, I don't think so, right? Or the Dallas one, right? But other than that, I mean, when is the ship gonna be fixed? Uh, right? That's what's concerning me. And I think it actually gets fixed here. They're at home. I'm Look, the offense has been putrid, but it's got to fix up at some point. And my problem is with the O line.
That's why I don't think it's gonna get fixed. All falls on the O line.
I can't see a game where Tom Brady goes 3-5. This is his first under 500 start since before we were born. Okay, tentative. Give me Baltimore, but tentative. I like because I don't. Mm.
I mean, all of these picks are tentative, but yeah.
But the thing is, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say this, right? Like, I just feel like we're just gonna start asking so many more questions if Tom Brady loses, right? Like this, I feel like this
We're
narrative
asking
of he should
enough
retire
questions as it
gonna
is.
start piling. Right, exactly. But now everyone's gonna see it, right? This isn't some 10 o'clock game where you get upset by the Panthers and no one really watched what happened. Everyone's going to see what happens on Thursday night when he plays. They're going to watch every play. They're going to see what goes on. That's why primetime games are so important in the NFL. It's not some like Tuesday night TNT game in the NBA. No, this is real life once a week. So Baltimore.
All right, Broncos, Jaguars. I've seen enough of Nathaniel Hackett. Give me Jacksonville.
Yeah, I think Srikar's done picking Denver after last.
I'm done. I'm done. You know what's crazy? I meant to switch it to New York, and I forgot. As soon because I wanted to switch it for Ripon.
All right. I think Jacksonville bounces back. Give me Jacksonville. I think the skid stops, and they're at home, which I think is really important.
Mm-hmm. All right, Panthers, Falcons. Panthers showed up last week, but I just don't think they have the weaponry that Atlanta does. For one, we talked about it before, but I feel like it was kind of a fluke. So I think the Falcons are going to bounce back at home. I think Drake London and Kyle Pitts will have good games here. So give me Atlanta. Don't me. Take Atlanta.
Okay. They really impressed me in the sense that like they looked really good and they played with such passion. I'm really not shocked if they go in there and beat Atlanta. Like I wouldn't be surprised. Like this is a really winnable game. On the road, not too far from where they're at. And we'll just PJ Walker 2 in a row. Give it to me. Carolina.
Wow. All right.
Give it to me.
Chicago and Dallas. Dallas is just a much better team with that pass rush against Justin Fields. I mean, give me Dallas. Give me Dallas.
Give me Dallas as well. Chicago I haven't even finished watching the highlights of the second half because I couldn't even see it. But yeah, give me Dallas. I want to see what happened. Like, how did Chicago win that game? I need to see it. So, yeah, give me Dallas.
Yeah, it's just QB swaps galore, and then the defense kind of folded. So, Dolphins, Lions. The spread is Dolphins -3, and I'm kind of surprised by that. I honestly feel like it should be more. I think Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are going to have huge days. Give me Miami here.
This is a game that Detroit can easily upset, right? The NFL's just been full of that this season, but give me Miami. So. I love this team. I think with Tua, they are so dangerous as they showed in the first quarter. Unfortunately, where was that the final 3 quarters? I literally lost, everything from that offense. But I just have such weird feelings that this week's going to be another week where we see so many upsets. But give me Miami.
All right, Cardinals, Vikings. I completely forgot that I should be letting you start first on some of these.
I'll start. I'm taking Minnesota. I'm very high on Minnesota. They're off a bye. I like Minnesota. They play really good. I like Kevin O'Connell. I like that offense. I like Adam Thielen. I like Justin Jefferson. Their secondary is not that good, but I love their front 7. Give me Minnesota.
Completely forgot to mention they're coming off the bye. And they're getting the Cardinals in their building. And Yeah, the Vikings should be able to throw all over the Cardinals defense. Give me Minnesota here as well. Raiders Saints in New Orleans. Look, the Saints have no quarterback, no first round pick, no hope. The Raiders are 2-1 in their last 3 games, with the only loss being that 1-point loss in Arrowhead against Kansas City.
No hope.
I mean, am I wrong? Like, give me Las Vegas.
Give me Las Vegas too. People were very high on the Saints coming into the year. This is exactly what I said.
I was too. This is why I'm a little mad.
Yeah. Give me Vegas.
Like,
they look good against the Texans. I know it was the Texans, but they look good. All right. They look like they can maybe fix the ship.
Steelers, Eagles. The Eagles should handle the Steelers.
Battle of Pennsylvania. The battle of Pennsylvania.
The battle of mid versus amazing. The Eagles, they should just handle the Steelers. You consider the pass rush. Consider Kenny Pickett is starting.
All right.
Jalen Hurts is gonna go crazy. Give me Philly.
What's crazy is, look, I don't even like, it's literally just the turnovers for Kenny. There are just throws that I feel like every bad throw he makes gets picked off. Like, I haven't seen one of those that just don't get picked, or like an incomplete. Like, every bad throw I've seen him make, it has to go the other way.
So it's not Pickett's fault then, because he's throwing bad throws that
obviously no, I think it's just being over. It's being over, like, exaggerated in the sense that, oh my God, this guy is terrible. Look at his pick numbers. Because when he's not throwing picks, he's actually throwing some pretty good throws. I mean, he's a rookie. Let's see where this goes. But obviously right now, he's not really giving this team a spark, which is, sad to say. Give me Philly, obviously. Off a bye. I'm done picking against them. I picked against them the last 2 weeks. Philly's going to win this game. I don't really see a scenario where they don't. Let's go Philly.
Yeah, if you guys watched our podcast during the whole draft process, you know both of our thoughts on Kenny Pickett. And there you go. The Titans at the Texans. This is a really, really good game in the sense that it's a divisional game.
For me to pick the Titans, I'm going with the Titans.
Yes. He stole my thunder there, but yeah. If you look at the spread, it's Titans minus 1.5.
Are you serious?
That is insane. They've won 4 straight.
Might have to start.
The Texans have 1 win. I don't know how this is. Okay. I'm also taking Tennessee in this one. Okay, we did Niners Rams.
Well, they always give 3 points for the home team, so technically it's minus.
Ridiculous. I mean, 1.5. Commanders Colts. So Sam Ehlinger is starting. You can go watch the episode with Jack if you want to hear him talk about the Colts a little bit more. Talk about them in the beginning. But the Colts are hoping to breathe some new life into their offense with Ehlinger. Could be the spark they need. This is like, it's like picking hairs here. I mean, I'll take the Colts for now. Obviously, it could fluctuate, but I think that the way the season has been going, Ehlinger's going to win his first game.
I got robbed. I got robbed of a Wentz versus Colts game. I got robbed, okay? I was so excited as soon as Wentz got traded because I knew he was going to play Philly, and then I knew he was going to play them. Anish Gupta was robbed today. When Wentz fractured his finger, okay? So just know that, NFL. Give me the Commanders. I think I don't know why. They play with a little bit of a spark with Taylor. So, I don't know,
It would look better under him, right?
Well, Terry was giving Jair work, by the way. That was awesome. So, yeah, give me the Commanders. The Colts offense, again, just looks so putrid. I don't know, man. If Sam can give him a spark. I think it comes down to Sam actually getting the Colts big plays, because I talked about this in the episode with Jack. The Colts have the number 1 in 10-plus play drives. So when they score long, which is good, but they don't have big plays, which is bad. So
let's see. Packers Bills Sunday night.
Wait,
football.
Is it at Washington or is it at Indy? Sorry.
This is in Indy.
Damn, should have told me that. Okay, actually I'm switching to Indy now.
I didn't think that was going to impact it all, but there you go.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Sunday night football, the Packers and the Bills. Spread is Bills minus 10.5. I mean, look,
minus 10
and a half.
Holy crap, man.
I'll say this.
Aaron Packers Rodgers, plus 10 right now?
Yeah.
Ooh.
That might be free cheese. Aaron Rodgers versus Josh Allen sounds really, really, really good. until you realize one's playing like an MVP and the actual reigning MVP is playing like a borderline starter. So give me the Bills. This feels like a game that they're just going to run away with. They're coming off the bye, so they're very well rested. They're at home in front of Bills Mafia. The Packers just look just out of sorts all around, so I got to go with the Bills here.
We talked about this again, about the Packers. They didn't have a receiver besides Allen Lazard catch a pass till the fourth quarter. That being said, this is the game where the Packers can turn everything around.
And they
literally everything. They can go 4-4 here. They can kickstart something. And it all comes down to the receivers making plays. And guess what? They will not. I got Buffalo.
Figured it was coming. But I do get to let you start for Monday Night Football. How nice. Bengals Browns. Who do you got?
All righty, here we go. So this is great. This is great. Everybody gets to watch how bad we are. This is awesome.
Yep.
Joe Burrow comes into town throwing literally 350 yards in the first half. Jamar and Tyler Boyd all would have had 100 yards if T. Higgins just caught that pass and didn't step out of bounds. The Browns are 2-5 after killing me with another 3-point or less loss. Guess what? No,
with the Bengals.
No Jacob Phillips. No Wyatt Teller possibly. No Denzel Ward possibly. Kareem Hunt trade rumors. And I am still picking the Browns. I'm picking the Browns to win this game at home. I think Joe Burrow still goes winless against us. Give me the Browns.
All right, I'll keep it short. The Bengals are a much better team with a much better offense. Give me Cincinnati. Boom! Picks done. And we did it in the new format. Let's go.
Yeah, let us know what you guys think about that if you guys want to comment on it. We've got, I don't think we even varied. I think we varied on 1 or 2, Carolina and...
I might switch some of these. We're recording this on a Tuesday, so
yeah,
I feel like there's more room to change.
We'll switch this out. But yeah, this will probably get out. You guys will probably be seeing this tomorrow or on the 26th. So yeah, with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. We have been the Cold Hard Truth NFL podcast. Again, follow us on all our socials down below. Thank you guys. We will see you guys next time.